Good morning, everyone. Thank you for watching us again in another of our segments, Meet Our Candidates. Thank you for watching us. Thank you, We Love Nogales. Thank you, Santa Cruz County Public Media, for having us again in another program of Border Connections. Un saludo a todos los que nos están viendo. Les doy las gracias. Hoy tenemos otro segmento de Meet Your Candidates. And this segment is just, to increase our knowledge about the candidates, about the leaders that are running for positions here on our county, on our city. And before we start, I want to invite everyone on March 23rd. We are opening our doors again at M&M Family Orchard. We will be having such a great outdoor fun. We will have yoga with the goats with yoga teacher Katia. Katia, she is a very knowledgeable yoga teacher from our county. She's also a teacher in our schools, and she's gonna be with us just doing yoga with the goats, welcoming everyone. We're gonna have local vendors at the M&M Family Orchard. We're gonna have a great food truck over there to spend the day, to get to know people, to get to know other neighbors, family. So I invite you to go on March 23rd to spend the day next to our lavender field, get to know our animals. Pixie, the pig, is going to be there. She's becoming famous. A lot of people come and ask for her and our horses. So we will be there welcoming the doors for everyone. And this is just for connections with our neighbors, connections with our visitors. Go and spend the day over there. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be great. And now, going back to business, I really want to extend our welcome here to Santa Cruz County Public Media Studios to Mr. Fanning. John Fanning, thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate your time and your visit. We know that we've seen you around on our schools. We've seen you around doing a lot of community work. And now we are seeing you in social media running for Supervisor for District 3. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Wonderful to be here.
Of course. And Mr. Fanning, these segments are for our public to increase our knowledge about how does it run, like being a supervisor for the district. Which district will you be in, and all those little details that we need to know as voters. But I also know I have kids on Rio Rico School District, and I see you very active. I would love also for you to talk to us about what you've been doing for all these past years. And then how did you get this idea of saying, I'm going to run this time for Supervisor District number 3, and let's see how it goes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'll give you a little background. My name is John Fanning. I am happily married to my lovely wife, Susie. We've been married for over 30 years last week. Welcome. We have 3 beautiful boys who all went through the school system in Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District. Yeah. And I have a grandson who is the apple of our eye. So that's a little bit about me personally. My family moved to Arizona in 1979. So I've been in this area for quite a long time, more than I've been in Illinois, in fact. Wow. And fell in love with this area. Yes. And I knew when I was in high school I wanted to be a teacher. And my passion has always been athletics. So you put the love for kids and the love for sports together and you become a PE teacher. And that's what I was yes. for 14 years. And if you were to have asked me in my 13th year what I would be doing at this point in time, I probably would have said that I'm going to be a PE teacher and a coach still. Well, the opportunity arose for me to go into a leadership position as an assistant principal. Yes. So I did, and I was still coaching at the time, but the following year I had to make a tough decision. We lived in Tucson, and although Tucson was fantastic, it wasn't where I wanted to raise my kids. It wasn't where I wanted to have a family. I wanted to be close to where I worked. So in order to do that, I had to decide whether I wanted to be an administrator or continue being a PE teacher and coach. the decision was difficult but easy. It was easy because I would do anything for my family.
Yes.
So we moved down here in 2004, and I've been a Rio Rico resident since 2004. Been teaching and coaching, and have been a leader in this community for 35 years. So I'm proud of some of the things that have happened under my watch. You asked earlier what district. We both mentioned District 3.
Yes.
District 3 is a challenge. And the reason it's a challenge is because Tubac is different than Tumacacri, is different than Rio Rico, is different than Patagonia, Sonoyta, Elgin, is different. You can keep on going with that.
Yes.
And so it's important that a person in the District 3, running for District 3 supervisor, is aware of the differences between each one of the different areas within the county. So that's a little bit about me. I'm the reason I decided to run. I was going to run 4 years ago, but one of my ex-students also ran, and I felt very strongly about him, and I wanted him to have the opportunity. He ended up not becoming supervisor,
Right.
but he went through the process, which is great. I would encourage everyone.
I love the support that you gave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But after that, I met with him about a year after that, and I told him, whether you're running or not, I really want to run. I really want to make a difference in this community, in this county. I feel that I've made a difference within the school system in Santa Cruz Valley over the 35 years that I've been there. And I want to take my hard work, my vision, my people skills to the next level. I want to take it to the county level, and I want to help this county become better than it's ever been before.
Thank you for that, Mr. Fanning, and thank you for sharing and for what you mentioned. Like you're being in the school system for so long, for 30 plus years, and now also you living in the area, you get to see the difference between the small towns on our area, and how you're always looking forward to support everyone, students, previous students. I know you're very active and listening, like, to parents, to the different support that the schools need. So I am very excited to see you here on our studio and sharing about what you're working on. How's it going, meeting people in the neighborhood? How's it being like? Well, where is District 3? District 3. I'm sorry. I know I really want to increase the knowledge of the new voters. We have a big amount of voters around our area. These amazing students that are getting to graduate from high school. Some of them are already turning 18. And some of them, like, for example, my daughter, she's still 17 years old, but she got very into learning about politics now that I'm running these segments and I'm talking to her. So I think that spark, that connection, it will be very helpful for them. So can you share with us, like, who are the District 3 and how these new voters can get to know more about what you're going to be working on in the school-wise and then outside?
Well, District 3, and this is a rough
question.
No, it's not a rough question. It's a rough description.
Right.
Yeah, but it is everything on both sides of the freeway, Tubac, Tumacacri, Carmen, in that area. So all of that, all of the northern part of the county, all the way up to the county line. And then roughly it's everything on the east side of the freeway in Rio Rico. And then it moves out to Patagonia, Elgin, Sonoyta area.
Right.
So like I said earlier, it is a very, it's challenging because there are so many different pockets and different people, and different areas have different needs.
Yes.
So it's important for the students, whether they come from the Santa Cruz Valley, whatever the district they're in, Nogales, Patagonia, within the Sonoyta, within the county, it's important that they understand these differences. District 1 is made up primarily of Nogales. District 2 is part of Nogales, and the west side of Rio Rico, and District 3 is the remainder. So it's very, there's different populations in each, there's different rural, I know that this is a rural county, but I've always considered Nogales more of a city,
Right.
where the outskirts are Rio Rico and Patagonia and Tubac. So it's important that people realize the differences between each one of the areas in this county.
Correct.
And that's one of the things, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but that's one of the things I think is so very important, that no matter where a person lives in District 3, they're heard.
Yes, yes. And I would like to ask you, we love Nogales, again, it's open for everyone, for the public. And sometimes, so our main plan, it's always to communicate positive news for our audience, and to welcome everyone that would like to express something positive for our county, for our city. And then we also know that there are some challenges too that we have to address sometimes. For example, if it's county-wise or if it's city-wise, and then our leaders come and share those news. I've seen you very active on our community for the past years, like being in different places with different community members, like the Rotary, the community and the schools in Rio Rico. And recently, it might be about last year, when Rio Rico High School opened the doors for to have a good talk between the neighbors to address mining issues about South 32 coming to our district, coming to our town, and at the end coming to the whole Santa Cruz County, city, county. We started to see a lot of comments from different positions, and I was very thankful that you would like to, open up and talk about, our mining in town. Like, what are your views, and what will be your thoughts about having a mining on our area, on our county? And I know, like sometimes we have to address like some of these topics, and we always ask everyone in our public to address them respectfully, because at the end we are seeing different situations that the other person might not see it. So it's to open our knowledge, open that extra thought, and start developing a communication. So what are your thoughts, Mr. Fanny, about having a mine here on our county?
Well, and that's the hot topic. I mean, if you go to the supervisors meeting, that's the topic. If you go to a lot of different meetings within the county, that's one of the hot topics right now. If you were to ask me that question a year ago, my answer might be a little bit different. Okay. And here's why. As a leader, and this is what I've told people who are going into leadership positions, new to the leadership position, I tell them that it's important, if you don't have all of the facts and you don't have the knowledge that you need to discuss or to make decisions, then I've always told people, you close this unless you're asking questions. You open this and you open this. And that's what I've done for over a year now. I am part of the Hermosa advisory panel, where we meet monthly and we discuss the mine and so forth. So the bottom line, how do I feel about the mine? I personally don't want a mine in my backyard. Okay. I am concerned about the flora, the fauna. Yes. I'm concerned about the people, the safety. Yes. And until I can be assured 100% that everything, and I'm not talking about just the people, I'm talking about our water system, I'm talking about the animals in our area, the beauty. Yes. Patagonia, Tubac, Rio Rico is well known throughout all of Arizona and throughout the nation. Yes. It's just being a beautiful place to live. I worry about that. Right. So that's one of the reasons, and a lot of that decision comes from listening and opening the ears to people talking about how it can impact them negatively. Right. With that said, like I said, a year ago, I don't think I would have had that answer. But I've sat back and I've listened, and I think that's so important. But the other part that I want to mention about that before I go into the manganese processing and the IROC is I think it's important for people to realize it's not just about how I feel. That's what's so important. I think that's the catch. It's so important about being a supervisor, is that it's important to listen and listen to your constituents. And that's what I've done. At this point in time, I'm not, in the supervisor position with the public support. Hopefully that would change in the near future. But it's important that everyone listens. And that includes the leaders to their constituents. So that's kind of the conclusion I've come to, is that I don't want to mine in my backyard. Now, I think I'd be foolish to say it's not happening.
Right.
I think with the backing of the federal government, I think it's going to happen. And with that, I think the county needs to take the stance as we are going to be the watchdogs to make sure that we have systems set in place that are not going to negatively affect our community, especially Patagonia and that area. But it also includes Nogales and Rio Rico. Ultimately, everything kind of flows in that direction. Exactly. So that worries me. But I think it's going to happen.
Yes.
With that being said, I am adamantly against any kind of manganese processing facility in our county. There's just too much room for mishaps.
Yes.
And mishaps can cost dearly.
Yes.
But one thing I am in favor of, if the mine is going to be here, that mine is going to be remotely operated from somewhere in the county, from what I've been told. And it's going to be a building. It's going to be a building that houses people who are operating machinery in the mine. With that, that's going to hopefully create some jobs. So even though I may not be for the mine, if it happens, I'm for any person in this community that has the abilities to find a job, perhaps, at the IROC. It's called the IROC, Remote Operating Center. And since it's going to be remotely operated, that's going to create jobs. So I would love to see people hired locally and who live here that are there. It's also, I also see, if that building is erected, I could see it being used for many different purposes. It could be used for night classes. It could be used for the junior college.
Yes.
For the Santa Cruz County Provincial Community College District, of which I'm part of the board. It can be used for all of the high schools in the area to learn skills. So if the mine is coming, which I think it is, I think the IROC would be fantastic in our community. I see. For the people. So that kind of sheds some light on my stance with the mine.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that very transparent for all our viewers, for the people in our county, on our city, because at the end, like you have mentioned, Mr. Fanning, it all connects. We're all very close, that it is something that it's on everyone's mind. Right. And, like as you mentioned, to put things, to open our eyes, to listen, and then, like to see everything, how it's coming, we have to be open to what is happening. Thank you for sharing your point of view, so we can also have and put things into a balance. And then how important it is for us to get to know about, what's happening on our county, what's happening in those board meetings. What is the work of a supervisor? How will they be, supporting us? So do you want to share a little bit about, what a supervisor does once it's elected, and what will you be able to do once you get in for our county, for the District 3?
Well, before I answer that, I'd like to, you mentioned the word transparency, and I think that's so very important. One of the things, I was a longtime administrator in our district.
Yes.
And I went to Sahuarita for 2 years, and it was a wonderful experience, but it wasn't home. Right. Home to me is Santa Cruz County. And as a leader, I was tasked with taking Peña Blanca Elementary and Calabasas Middle School and transforming that into one.
Yes.
Many of the Calabasas teachers I knew. Most of the Peña Blanca teachers I did not know. So in order to go into a situation like that and be an effective leader, you have to build trust. And how do you build trust? You build trust, first of all, by making connections. That's the first part. Yeah. Making connections, talking to people, listening to people, hearing what they say. Right. The second part of that is what you just mentioned, transparency. You need to be transparency. Transparency plus connections over a period of time, because it doesn't happen overnight, builds trust. So that's one of the things that I try to build my career, my professional as well as my personal, is trust. I try to build connections, and I try to be transparent. So the John Fanning that's sitting in front of you right now is the true John Fanning. Yes. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's what it is. Yeah. But as far as a supervisor goes, the supervisor basically represents their areas and their constituents at the county level. They make decisions at the county level pertaining to roads, pertaining to budget, pertaining to law enforcement, pertaining to judicial systems. They make decisions on a every 2 weeks they meet, and there's 2 to 3 pages of decisions that are made that I would hope help the community and help the county. So it's gathering information. And one of the things that I think is so very important is representing your constituents. And I want to take this time, if it's okay, to say what it is I think a supervisor, and I'm not saying that it doesn't happen right now. I'm certainly not saying that. And you'll never hear me badmouth or throw anyone under the bus. Yes. When people vote, I don't want them to vote because this person or that person or the other person is they have something against what they're doing. I want them to vote for the person, John Fanning. So my goal is to truly represent the people of District 3. Like I said earlier at the very beginning, the differences between each. If I was lucky enough to be elected, what I'd like to do is have an advisory committee where I have 5 people from Sonoria, Patagonia, Elgin. Nice. I have 5 people from the Rio Rico, District 3, and I have 5 people from the Tubac, Carmen, Tumacacri area. Awesome. And we meet every month or sooner, depending on the situations, and we talk about things that arise. And I want people who are connected. Those 15 people, I want them to be connected. Not connected money-wise, certainly, but connected with other people. So that when they listen, they can then give me the information that they've heard from these people. And that's the way I want to stay connected. That's the way that I want to be transparent. That's the way that I want to build trust, is by sitting down with those 15 people on a monthly basis and just talking about things that are happening in a community. And therefore, I get their voice, and then I'm better able to represent them during those supervisor meetings. So that's one of the things that I want to do. Awesome.
Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Fanning. And then any topics that you, if you get elected, any of the topics that you will try to address right away? And we know and we understand, everything will be a process once the person elected gets in there in the district and the transitions. But what will be some topics that you would like to address or to bring right away for your District 3?
Well, rep comes to mind, and I know Rio Rico High School has rep, but they're different. REP means something different to me. Recreation, education, and preservation. And I'm going to start with preservation. Like I've said earlier during our discussion, we are rich in history. Yes. We are incredibly rich in history. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Patagonia, the mountains of Patagonia, the beauty in Patagonia, the tourism gatherings in Patagonia, the wineries in Patagonia, or talking about Rio Rico and all the things that have happened in Rio Rico. Yes. I would advise everyone to go to the Rio Rico Historical Society. It's located right on the frontage road there, and it just, what a wealth of knowledge. But we need to preserve all that our county has. Definitely. And you talk about Tubac. Just recently, once again, if I'm not mistaken, it was rated as the number one small art scene by USA Today in the entire nation.
I know.
And if you had an opportunity to go to the festival,
Yes.
a month ago I think it was, which I helped out at. I volunteered at a couple parking cars, and then I was a booth sitter.
Yes.
But if you were able to be there and just see the beauty and all the great things that are happening in Tubac, so it's important that we preserve what we
Yes.
have.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that we don't grow, but if we do grow, it needs to be planned, it needs to be responsible growth, but preserve what we already have. As far as education, I think we have an incredible educational system in this county. It doesn't matter what school you look at, there's some great things happening.
Oh, yes.
You know, whatever district you're talking about. So I want to make sure that we continue to support education, pre-K-12 education, adult education. We have, at this point in time, you know, I'm part of the Santa Cruz County Provisional Community College District. I've been part of that board for a little over 2 years now. And it's great to see the parking lot behind Walgreens there at the Santa Cruz Center full. And,
Yes.
it's full and it's growing. So it's important that we support that. The other thing is preschool and Head Start. I think right now, I'm part of First Things First. I've been part of that for about 3 years now, which deals with children who are birthed to age 4, and the incredible importance that they are socialized, that they understand how things work, and I think it's important that we support. Right now, at one of our last meetings, Pancho Padilla mentioned that we're at a crossroads. We're at a cliff right now with childcare, and too many people are having to quit work, and there's only one person working now because they can't afford childcare.
Yes.
So I'd like to see more preschool opportunities and Head Start opportunities and folks so education is the second, recreation is the third. I was part of people may think when I talk about recreation and pickleball and things like that and pools and which I'm going to talk about here in a second, that I'm talking about the youth. But I was up in Green Valley just about a month ago, and I went to a Baja sport meeting. And Baja stands for Born Again Jocks Association. Awesome. So it's a gathering of people who are retired, and they get out and they are active. I want to make sure that not only the youth in our community, but the adults in our community have an opportunity, not necessarily to become born again jocks, but to have the ability to go out and play tennis, to go out and have fun and horseback ride and so forth. So recreation. And it is so prevalent, you know, with the bird watching, with the wineries, and you know the trails and so forth in the entire county, but especially in Patagonia and Tubac. But right now in Rio Rico, I'm part of the community center board. Been there for about two years now, I think. And right next to us, we have the Swim and Racket Club. That whole corner of that area on Quatamundi and Pendleton.
Yes.
There's so much potential.
Yes, definitely.
There's so much potential. And what's the biggest growing activity right now? Pickleball. I'd love to see pickleball on the corner. I'd love to see that bustling with people again. Yes. You know, whether it be fitness training, whether it be weightlifting, whether it be swimming, whether it be pickleball, or I was part of the Little League a long time ago. And the fields right now, there's so much potential in those 2 Little League fields to have students, you know, playing again in that area. So that's one of the goals. You know, the 3 are preservation, recreation, education. Tourism, I think, is also very important for our community. You saw that, like I said, a month ago at Tubac and all of the events that are happening in Patagonia and Sonoita. So those are just some of the things that I cherish, that I want to make sure they continue to be in the spotlight.
Yes, I thank you. Thank you for sharing all that information. And you know, about our different towns in our county, they're all beautiful, rich of history, rich of lots of things to do on a weekend with your family. We have lakes around our area. We have amazing entrepreneurs, amazing artists within
Cool.
our area. So thank you for mentioning, like the tourism, the town, what we have, what you will be like working on. And then I always like to ask let's get to know Mr. Fanning. Like, what will you do on your county, like on a weekend, and what's your favorite food?
Well, my favorite fruit is anything that my mother-in-law fixes.
Oh, nice.
My mother-in-law is she's lived in Tumacacri all of her life.
Oh, wow.
In fact, she went to the one-room schoolhouse in Tubac. So there's a lot of history with my mother-in-law, and I've asked her to sit down with the Tubac Historical Society, and they have an opportunity to just talk to a person to gain more background. But anything my mother-in-law fixes. So
Nice.
there's a joke in the family that I married my wife, but I married my wife
Yes.
so that I could have my mother-in-law's cooking. So
Food, yeah.
So, and as far as what I do on the weekends, my wife and I love to go see Broadway. We saw Shrek last week. We're gonna
nice.
see Miss Doubtfire with my aunt here soon. Anything athletic, I announce the football games at Rio Rico and the basketball games and the
Yes.
softball. And I still love to coach, whatever I can do. My time is limited.
Yes.
I also I'm part of the Arizona Educational Foundation.
Awesome.
And I'm a A+ judge, so I get to go to some of the nicest schools in the state and judge whether they're A+ status. And I'm happy to say that 4 of the schools that I visited this year are receiving A+ status.
Wow.
But I like to hang out with my grandson. I like to hang out with my wife. I have 2 sanctuaries that I always tell people. In the movies, which I'm probably going to go do this afternoon with my son and go see Dune. When I'm in a movie theater, I don't think about anything. All I do is think about enjoying the movie, which takes my mind off of some of the stress that I sometimes have. My other sanctuary is on the weekend, when my wife and I, and normally her sister Carol and our brother-in-law Ryan, we go to my suegros in Tumacacri. We listen to 50s and 60s music. Cool. We talk about good times in Tumacacri, and we just relax and have fun. Yeah. So other than that, if I'm part of Rotary, I do a lot of things with Rotary. I do a lot of things with United Way.
Awesome.
So I'm active. It's nice every once in a while to have an actual weekend where I can just sit back and relax.
Yes, I know.
Doesn't happen that often.
Exactly, I know, but yeah, it's the time when you get recharged, and then the next day you're like going all 100%.
Right.
Mr. Fanning, in let's say in short words, why should we vote people from District 3 for Mr. Fanning?
Okay, I'm gonna make this as quick as I can. Number 1, I will be a full-time supervisor. That will be my job, and I will do it. And I will work hard. I will take what I've learned from my leadership roles with the school district, and I will take that to the county level, and I will most certainly represent our constituents in this county. I will work hard, I will listen, and I will do what's best for the county.
Yes.
And for District 3.
Thank you for those words. I appreciate it. And then anything that we're leaving outside and we haven't talked about it, any of the points that you would like to expand on the different topics, or if what would you like the voters from our district to follow what you're doing, what you're working on, and then at the end to vote for you and support you and those committees and those moving forward.
And if that's okay, I'm going to talk directly to that camera.
Please.
Whether you vote for me or somebody else, and whoever you want to vote for, whether it be a local election, whether it be the national election, please get out and vote. Make your voice heard. Do your civic duty, and get out and vote. I think it's what has made this country the incredible country that it is. So please, whoever you're going to vote for, vote. And other than that, just I'm on Facebook, Friends of John Fanning. You can find me on Facebook.
Awesome.
And reach out to me
Yes.
and with whatever concerns anyone has, and I will get back to them and to the best of my knowledge and best of my ability.
Thank you. And as we're sharing, we want to increase voting. We want to increase voters of Santa Cruz County to get to know our future leaders on elected positions. And this is open for everyone in the public. So where will you be, Mr. Fanning? What are your plans to be? I know this past weekend, I've seen you very busy on different parts of our district. So what is your plan? That way we can extend the invitation to our viewers. Just go sit down with Mr. Fanning and talk to him about, what he's been doing, what he will be working on. So will you be in the streets?
Yes. On the weekends, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to be in one of the three areas.
Okay.
This past weekend and on Saturday, I was in Rio Rico. I always do the 50-50 for the Rio Rico Rotary in front of Nichols, usually from 9 to 11. And then 11 until about 1. I just sat on the bench right in front of Palo Parado, for where the pathway is.
Right.
And then on Sunday, I went to Patagonia. And I was at the Wild Horse Restaurant and had a wonderful oatmeal breakfast with my lovely wife. And we were there, and I got a chance to walk around and talk to some people. And then right after that, we went up to Sonoita, to the Brothel Brewery, and just had a wonderful chicken, crispy chicken sandwich up there, and talked to some people up there. And then yesterday, I was at the Tubac Citizens Council for a different reason. And then afterwards, I was in front of Tubac Market, trying to gather support.
Yes.
So on the weekends, I'm going to be in one of those three different areas, whether it be in Rio Rico and the Patagonia Sonoita Elgin, or Tubac. During the week, in the evenings, as it's starting to get a little bit nicer outside, I'll be out pounding the pavement and just asking for people's support.
Yes.
So they can reach me on Facebook. They can reach me on Facebook. I have my phone number there. They can email me. Whatever person has, or if they have a question, they can reach out to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fanning. Again, this is open to all candidates. And what I love every time that we sit down with a candidate is also, to get to know, we always mention Santa Cruz County, it's full of amazing leaders. They're not also running, just for something that they have in mind, but they also run with passion, with a heart, and just to get to know everyone that sits down here in our studios, how they've been like family members, how they've been community members, how they've been, looking out to help students and to support. It's wonderful for us to get to know that this is our Santa Cruz County. This will be our future, leaders running on our county. So it's amazing to get to know, those little details. So when we receive our ballots in July or when we vote in November, we get to know Mr. Fanning. We get to know the other people that have been or will be sitting down here in our studio. So I thank you for that. I thank you for what you've been doing for all these years in our community, and all the support for students, all the supports for parents, for the community, for the county. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, it's awesome to get to know people, like you, interested in growing our areas, and also to speak very transparent and just like in a good in a great like friendly way for everyone. So I appreciate you. I don't know if you want to leave any other last message. I don't want to leave anything behind.
Right. Like I said, get out and vote July 30th for the primary, and I believe November 5th for the general election. And I've been part of Rotary for about 4 or 5 years now, and there's a saying, service above self. So whether I'm elected which I hope I am.
Yes.
I'm going to work my behind off
Yes.
to gather support. Whether I'm elected or not, I'm going to continue to serve this community to the
Yes.
best of my ability. I'm going to be out and doing whatever I can to help this community become a better community.
Awesome.
So thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
No, of course. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching us. Please send us a message. Send your questions. Send your candidates as well. You know, this space, it's open for everyone, and we want to increase our knowledge. We want more voters in Santa Cruz County, because this is us also having the responsibility to vote and to work together as a community to grow our businesses, our artists, our plays, and to have a beautiful engagement between our whole county and our cities. We'll see you guys next week with another segment. Thank you so much for watching us, and thank you, Mr. Fanning, again for the opportunity to sit down with us.
Thank you so much. Be safe and be healthy, people.
Gracias, nos vemos pronto.